The mimosa sat untouched in front of Vivian Thornton, condensation pooling on the white tablecloth. Through the floor-to-ceiling windows of Harborview Restaurant, Lake Michigan sparkled in the late September sun. She was wearing the navy dress Gregory always said made her eyes look like sapphires. She thought they were here to celebrate. Their wedding was exactly 3 weeks away. October 14th, the same date his parents had married 40 years ago. Vivian had assumed he'd chosen this restaurant, the place where he proposed, for something sentimental. She was so completely wrong. "Vivian," Gregory said, and the formal tone in his voice made her stomach clench. His friends Nathan and Cole sat across from them, watching with expressions she couldn't quite read. "I've been doing a lot of soul-searching lately." Vivian smiled, her hands folded in her lap, waiting for whatever nervous wedding jitters he was about to confess. "I'm calling off the wedding." The restaurant noise, silverware clinking, conversations humming, smooth jazz drifting from hidden speakers, all of it faded into a dull roar. "I don't love you anymore." Before we dive deeper, let us know in the comments where you're watching from. We'd love to hear from you. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you never miss any of our upcoming videos. Vivian Thornton was 51 years old, and she'd spent the last 5 years building a life with Gregory Chambers. After her divorce at 43, she'd thought she was done with romance. She'd focused on her interior design business, on her 2 grown daughters, on finally figuring out who Vivian was outside of being someone's wife or mother. Then she met Gregory at a charity auction. He was 54, a financial consultant with silver at his temples and a smile that crinkled the corners of his eyes. He was thoughtful, patient. He brought her coffee the way she liked it and remembered her daughter's birthdays. He felt safe. For 5 years, they built something together. Slowly, carefully. Neither of them was in a rush. They'd both been married before. Both learned that love required more than passion. It required partnership. When he proposed last September at this very restaurant, Vivian said yes without hesitation. Now, 12 months later, sitting at that same corner table, she watched that carefully built life crumble. "What?" The word came out barely above a whisper. Gregory sighed. Actually sighed, like she was making this difficult for him. "Come on, Vivian. Surely you felt it too. We've grown in different directions. I need someone who understands me on a deeper level. Someone with more spontaneity, more passion." He leaned back in his chair, one arm draped over the back with casual confidence. "You're wonderful. Truly. You're stable, responsible, mature. But that's not enough anymore. I need excitement. Stable, responsible, mature." These were the words he'd once said he loved about her. After his first marriage ended because his ex-wife was too unpredictable, he'd told Vivian her steadiness was exactly what he needed. Now those same qualities were why he was leaving. Nathan shifted uncomfortably. Cole wouldn't meet Vivian's eyes. And then she noticed it. Cole's phone was angled toward them, camera lens visible, recording light barely glowing. They were filming this. Gregory had brought his friends to witness. No, to document her humiliation. Something cold settled in Vivian's chest. Not panic, not even hurt yet. Something sharper and cleaner. She'd been through worse than this. She'd survived a marriage where she'd lost herself completely. She'd rebuilt her business from nothing after her divorce left her financially devastated. She'd raised 2 daughters through their teenage years as a single mother. Gregory Chambers wasn't going to break her. Not here. Not anywhere. Vivian reached down and twisted the engagement ring off her finger. A 2-carat emerald-cut diamond that caught the September light and threw tiny rainbows across the table. She'd worn this ring every day for a year. She'd stared at it during client meetings, during morning coffee, during the late nights when she worked on wedding plans after finishing design projects. She set it down between them with a quiet click. "Thank you for being honest," Vivian said. Her voice was steady, calm, almost pleasant. "You're right. Better now than at the altar." Gregory blinked. Clearly, he'd expected tears. Maybe pleading. Maybe a scene he could later recount to justify himself. See how emotional she got? The woman had no choice. Vivian wasn't going to give him that satisfaction. She pulled out her phone and opened her calendar. Vivian will need to contact the venue, the caterer, the florist, the photographer, the string quartet. She looked up at him. "Vivian assumes you'll contribute to the cancellation fees since you're the one ending this." "Gregory, we can discuss that later." "No," Vivian said, still smiling that small, controlled smile. "Vivian thinks we should discuss it now." in front of Nathan and Cole. Since you decided this was the appropriate venue for ending our engagement. She set her phone down and folded her hands. You said Vivian is stable and responsible, correct? Then here's some stability for you. Vivian is keeping every deposit that can't be refunded. Consider it compensation for 5 years spent organizing her life around your schedule. Nathan's discomfort had shifted to something like alarm. Cole had lowered his phone slightly. The tables around them had gone quiet. Other diners were listening now. Good, Vivian thought. Let them. She stood slowly, smoothing the fabric of her navy dress. Her heart was racing, but her hands remained steady. Actually, Vivian said, projecting just enough that nearby tables could hear clearly. Vivian is going to send out new invitations to everyone who was invited to our wedding. But instead of a wedding, she'll be hosting a new beginning celebration. Same date, same venue. She tilted her head slightly. Because Vivian thinks dodging this particular bullet is worth celebrating. Don't you agree? Gregory's face went pale. Vivian, don't be ridiculous. You can't. Can't what? She leaned forward slightly. Celebrate the fact that Vivian learned who you really are before she legally tied herself to you? Vivian disagrees. Vivian picked up her purse. Oh, and Gregory. She paused, lowering her voice so only the 4 of them could hear, though everyone at nearby tables was straining to listen. Vivian knows about Melissa. His eyes widened. The color drained completely from his face now. What are you talking about? Vivian knows you've been seeing her for 7 months. She knows about the hotel stays during your client conferences. She knows you bought her earrings from the same jeweler where you bought Vivian's ring. Vivian knows everything. Gregory's mouth opened and closed without sound. Nathan looked away. Cole set his phone down entirely, guilt flickering across his face. Vivian was waiting, she continued quietly, to see if you would come clean, if you would be honest, if you would choose her. She straightened. But instead, you chose to humiliate Vivian in public, in front of your friends, at the place where you proposed. So now everyone at this table knows. And soon, everyone we know will know. Vivian, wait. Gregory stood, reaching for her. She stepped back. Don't touch Vivian. Don't call her. Don't text her. Vivian's daughter Rachel will pick up your things from her house tomorrow. Any communication from now on goes through Rachel. Vivian turned to Nathan and Cole. You two might want to think about the kind of man you're friends with. A man who humiliates someone who loved him. A man who cheats for 7 months and then acts like he's doing her a favor by calling things off. Then she addressed the restaurant. Several tables had stopped eating entirely. Vivian apologizes for the disruption, she said clearly. She just learned that her fiancé has been unfaithful and has decided to call off their wedding 3 weeks before the date. At Sunday brunch. In public. She paused. If anyone needs a good interior designer, Vivian suddenly has some availability. A woman at the next table, probably in her 50s, wearing a coral blazer, started clapping. Then another woman joined. Then more. A soft wave of supportive applause rippled through the restaurant, mostly from women who understood exactly what they were witnessing. Vivian walked out of Harborview Restaurant with her head high and her shoulders back. She made it all the way to her car in the parking garage before her composure cracked. As soon as Vivian closed the car door and locked it, her hands dropped to the steering wheel and the sobs came. Huge, shaking bursts that tore up from somewhere deep in her chest. She'd held it together in there, controlled and dignified. But alone in her car, with the September afternoon sun slanting through the garage's concrete pillars, she finally felt it all. The betrayal, the humiliation, the loss. Her phone buzzed relentlessly. Text messages flooded in faster than she could read them. From her best friend Claire. Vivian, where are you? Someone just posted a video and deleted it, but Claire saw enough. She's coming to you right now. From her daughter Rachel. Mom, where are you? Rachel just saw something online. Tell her now. From her younger daughter Sophie. Mom, please call Sophie. What happened? Are you okay? Part of Vivian wanted to curl into a ball and disappear. Another part, the same part that had walked out of that restaurant with her spine straight, felt something different. The faintest hint of freedom. Gregory was the one who cheated. He was the one who humiliated her. Vivian wasn't the villain in this story. She was the one who'd been lied to, manipulated, discarded like she meant nothing. Vivian took a shaky breath and wiped her eyes, smearing mascara across the backs of her hands. She looked a mess, but she was still breathing. She picked up her phone and called Claire. Vivian is in the parking garage at Harborview, she said, her voice raw. Stay right there. Don't move. Claire is 10 minutes away, Claire said. She was a corporate attorney, and right now she sounded like one. Sharp, focused, ready for battle. Stay on the phone with Claire. True to her word, Claire's silver Mercedes pulled up beside Vivian's car exactly 9 minutes later. She climbed out, phone still pressed to her ear, eyes fierce behind her designer glasses. Come on, Claire said, wrapping Vivian in a careful hug. Let's get you home. Vivian's townhouse looked exactly as she'd left it that morning. The wedding planning binder sat on the coffee table, stuffed with fabric swatches, seating charts, and menu options. Gregory's Northwestern University sweatshirt hung on the coat rack by the door. His running shoes were lined up in the entryway. Half his clothes occupied her closet because he'd been gradually moving in over the past year. Evidence of a life she thought they were building together. Evidence of how blind she'd been. First question, Claire said, setting her purse down and rolling up the sleeves of her cream silk blouse, like she was preparing for trial. Does Vivian want to destroy his stuff? Or does she want Claire to pack it so he can't claim Vivian damaged anything? Vivian stared at the sweatshirt. For half a second, she imagined herself cutting it into ribbons, setting it on fire, throwing it into the street. The fantasy felt satisfying, then hollow. Pack it, Vivian said. Everything. Vivian wants every trace of him out of here by tomorrow. Smart choice. The high road is harder, but it lasts longer. Claire pulled out her phone. Claire is texting Rachel. This'll go faster with more hands. As Vivian sank onto the couch, her phone buzzed again. A message from an unknown number. Vivian, we need to talk. This isn't how Gregory wanted things to go. Please call him. She held the screen out to Claire, who made a sound of pure disgust. Block him right now. Maybe Vivian should hear what he has to say, she murmured, though even as she said it, the words sounded weak. No. Claire's voice was firm. He doesn't get to control the narrative anymore. He doesn't get to explain, justify, or ask for Vivian's understanding. He made his choice when he stood up in that restaurant and threw away 5 years for a spectacle. Vivian owes him nothing. Not her time, not her attention, and certainly not her forgiveness. Vivian stared at the message for a long moment. Then she hit block and deleted the conversation. Done, she said quietly. Good. Claire's shoulders relaxed a fraction. Now tell Claire how Vivian found out about Melissa. Vivian felt her stomach knot. He left his laptop open at Vivian's kitchen table 3 weeks ago. She was going to close it, but an email notification popped up from Melissa. The subject line said, "Last night was everything." She closed her eyes, fighting back a fresh wave of nausea. Vivian knew she shouldn't look, but she did. There were messages, photos, hotel confirmations. 7 months of lies sitting right there in his inbox. Why didn't Vivian confront him? Claire asked. Because Vivian knew what he'd say, that it was just physical, that it didn't mean anything, that he loved Vivian, not Melissa. She opened her eyes. Vivian wanted to see what he would do if she stayed quiet, if he would come clean on his own, if he would end it and choose her. Instead, he called off the wedding, Claire said bluntly. And he was such a coward, he had to do it in front of his friends so they could make him feel justified. The door opened. Rachel walked in carrying flattened cardboard boxes. Her face set in an expression Vivian recognized, the same one her daughter wore when someone had wronged someone she loved. Where is he? Rachel asked without preamble. Give Rachel an address. No, Vivian said immediately, standing up. You're not going after him. That's exactly what he'd want. Then he gets to be the victim, the man whose ex-fiancé's family harassed him. Mom, he humiliated you in public, Rachel said. He made a show of it. That video is everywhere. And Vivian handled it, she said. What Vivian needs from Rachel is to get his things out of her house and drop them at his condo tomorrow. No conversation. No confrontation. Just walk in, leave the boxes, walk out. Nothing he can twist later. Rachel looked like she wanted to argue, but Claire nodded at her. She's right. This is Vivian's call. We follow her lead. Fine, Rachel muttered. But if he shows up here, then Rachel can do whatever she wants, Vivian said. But for now, this stays clean. They spent the next 2 hours packing. Every shirt, every book, every pair of shoes, every random item Gregory had left scattered through Vivian's kitchen, bedroom, and living room. Claire labeled each box and took photographs of the contents. Documentation, she explained. just in case he decides to claim Vivian stole something. At one point, Vivian found herself sitting on the bedroom floor, holding a framed photograph from a trip to Napa Valley last spring. They were standing in a vineyard at sunset, arms wrapped around each other, smiling like nothing could ever come between them. How did Vivian miss it? She whispered. How did she not see who he really was? Claire sat down beside her. Because Vivian's not psychic. Because she trusted him. Because he lied well. That's all. It feels like Vivian failed, she admitted. Like she missed something obvious. Like she must have done something wrong for him to go looking for someone more exciting. No, Claire said, taking the frame gently from Vivian's hands and setting it aside. He failed. He failed to value Vivian. He failed to be honest. He failed to be faithful. That's not a reflection of Vivian's worth. It's a reflection of his character. Vivian's phone rang. Her mother. She'd been dodging her calls, afraid that hearing her mother's voice would shatter whatever strength she had left. She answered anyway. Hi, Mom. Vivian Marie Thornton. Her mother used her full name, voice sharp with worry. Eleanor has been calling you for 3 hours. Someone told her Gregory called off the wedding. Please tell Eleanor that's not true. It's true, Vivian said quietly. He told Vivian today. At brunch. In front of his friends. The silence on the other end was heavy. Then her mother said, very softly, Is Vivian all right? No, Vivian answered honestly. But she will be. Where is Vivian? At home. Claire and Rachel are here. Eleanor is on her way, her mother said. Don't argue with Eleanor. She hung up before Vivian could respond. By the time Vivian's mother, Eleanor, arrived, they'd stacked Gregory's boxes by the front door. She swept in like a force of nature, 73 years old, wearing a teal pantsuit and low heels, silver hair perfectly coiffed. She took one look at Vivian's face and pulled her into a hug so tight Vivian could barely breathe. Eleanor's baby, she whispered. Her sweet girl. Vivian started crying again, big, ugly sobs that soaked her mother's shoulder. Eleanor just held her and stroked her hair, murmuring soothing words the way she had when Vivian was small and woke up from nightmares. When Vivian finally pulled away, Eleanor looked at the boxes. Rachel, you're taking these to him tomorrow morning. No conversation. No shouting. Just drop them and leave. Yes, Grandma, Rachel said. Eleanor turned back to Vivian. And what is Vivian doing? Vivian wiped her eyes. Vivian is throwing a party. At the venue where the wedding was supposed to be. A new beginnings celebration. Her mother studied her for a long moment. Then, to Vivian's surprise, she smiled, small but proud. That's Eleanor's daughter, she said, squeezing Vivian's hands. Turning pain into power. They ordered Thai food, spread containers across the coffee table beside the abandoned wedding binder, and opened it together. Claire grabbed her laptop. Eleanor pulled out reading glasses. Rachel scrolled through her phone, occasionally shaking her head at comments on social media. We need an announcement, Eleanor said. Classy. No trash talking. No bitterness. Simple and strong. How about this? Claire said, typing quickly. Due to unforeseen circumstances, the wedding of Vivian Thornton and Gregory Chambers has been canceled. However, Vivian will still be celebrating on the original date at the original venue. Please join her for a new beginnings party to honor fresh starts and second chances. Dress code, your most vibrant outfit. Bring your joy. Vivian felt her chest loosen slightly. Vivian loves it. It's perfect, clear without being messy. Does Claire mention why? Rachel asked. No need, Eleanor said briskly. Everyone who needs to know already does, or will by tomorrow. The rest can draw their own conclusions. They stayed up late planning. The party would keep the same venue, Lakeside Pavilion, an elegant space on the edge of the city with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the water. But instead of a ceremony and formal reception, there would be cocktail tables, a live jazz band, a DJ for later, photo booths, wildly colorful floral arrangements, and a dress code that required guests to show up in their brightest clothing. No speeches about marriage. No slideshow of couple memories. Just a celebration of survival and freedom. The next morning, Vivian woke to the smell of coffee and her mother's voice drifting from the kitchen as she gave rapid-fire updates to relatives. No, she's not falling apart, Eleanor said to someone, probably Aunt Patricia. Vivian is handling it beautifully. Yes, there's going to be a party. No, you don't need to call Gregory. Vivian's eyes were puffy. Her body felt like it had been hit by a truck. But she was upright. Eleanor set a plate of scrambled eggs and whole wheat toast in front of her. Vivian needs her strength. We have vendors to call and a party to plan. How did Mom know Dad was the right one? Vivian asked after a few bites. How did she know he wouldn't do something like this? Her parents had been married for 48 years. High school sweethearts who still held hands when they walked through the grocery store. Eleanor didn't know with absolute certainty, her mother said. No one ever does. Love always involves risk. What Eleanor did know was that Vivian's father was consistent. He showed up. He kept his word. He treated Eleanor with respect even when they disagreed. He never made Eleanor feel like she had to become someone else to be worthy of his love. Gregory made Vivian feel like that, she admitted. Like she had to be more adventurous, more exciting, less herself. Then he wasn't Vivian's person, Eleanor said simply. Vivian's person is someone who loves her as she is and encourages her to grow in the direction she chooses, not the directions they dictate. Claire arrived at 9 o'clock sharp, hair pulled into a sleek bun, briefcase in hand, her expression all business. All right, Claire said, dropping onto the couch beside the wedding binder. Let's call every vendor and rearrange Vivian's life. First, the venue. Vivian called Lakeside Pavilion, bracing herself for awkwardness. Andrea, it's Vivian Thornton, she said when the events coordinator answered. Andrea heard. She said immediately, sympathy flooding her voice. Andrea is so sorry, Vivian. Is she all right? Vivian will be, she said. She knows this is last minute, but Vivian needs to change the event. Keep the date, keep the space, but it won't be a wedding anymore. Just a party. Same guest list, same time. Andrea was quiet for a moment. Then she said, of course. And keep all your deposits. Consider it Andrea's gift. What he did was cruel. Vivian deserves this celebration. Vivian pressed her hand against her chest, unexpected tears stinging her eyes. Thank you. That means more than you know. Next came the caterer, then the florist who'd been planning soft ivory and blush arrangements. Scrap the pastels, Vivian said. Vivian wants color. Jewel tones, sapphire blue, emerald green, ruby red, amethyst purple. Vivian wants the room to look like joy exploded inside it. The florist laughed softly. The florist loves it. And Vivian? Good for her. Don't hide. Celebrate anyway. The photographer, the jazz band, the DJ, almost all of them stayed on board enthusiastically. A few even offered discounts. It's rare we get to capture a different kind of love story, the photographer said. The love Vivian has for herself and her people. By lunchtime, the logistics were in place. Vivian sat on the living room rug surrounded by open laptops and checklists while her phone buzzed with responses to the digital invitations Claire had helped her design. A deep navy background with gold lettering. You are invited to celebrate new beginnings with Vivian Thornton. What was meant to be a wedding is now a celebration of fresh starts, second chances, and the courage to choose yourself. Dress code. Something that makes you feel powerful. October 14th, 6 p.m., Lakeside Pavilion. When Vivian finally pressed send to 280 guests, her finger hovered for a full minute. This would make everything official. Public. Real. Then she took a deep breath and pressed the button. Within minutes, replies poured in. Vivian's friend will be there. She's incredible. This is the best response to a broken engagement Vivian's cousin has ever seen. We always thought Vivian was too good for him. Now the whole city will know it. Over the next 2 weeks, Vivian threw herself into work and party planning. Her interior design business, Thornton Interiors, had always been steady, but she realized she'd been planning to scale back after the wedding. Take fewer clients, travel less, adjust her schedule to fit married life. Now, sitting in her modest office overlooking Lincoln Park, she saw her calendar with new eyes. Instead of wondering what she should give up for Gregory, Vivian started wondering what she could build for herself. In the evenings, after client consultations and vendor meetings, she worked on the party. Eleanor helped finalize the guest list. Rachel coordinated with the caterer. Claire revised contracts and kept watch for any legal complications. Vivian's townhouse, stripped of Gregory's belongings, began to feel like hers again. She bought new throw pillows for the couch in rich burgundy. She hung new artwork in the living room, a vibrant abstract piece that made her smile every time she looked at it. Little by little, she reclaimed her space. The night before the party, Claire arrived with her friend Jade. a makeup artist whose work Vivian had seen at various events over the years. Tomorrow isn't about impressing anyone, Claire said as Jade unpacked brushes and palettes on Vivian's bathroom counter. It's about Vivian feeling like herself on her best day. Vivian had chosen a dress that made her heart lift when she tried it on. A deep sapphire blue that cinched at the waist and flowed elegantly to just below her knees. Not a wedding dress, but still special. Still hers. When she put it on the next afternoon and looked in the mirror, she saw a woman who'd been broken and decided to build something better from the pieces. Vivian looks extraordinary, Eleanor said from the doorway, wearing a vibrant ruby red dress that made her silver hair look luminous. Sophie, Vivian's younger daughter, arrived wearing emerald green. Rachel wore amethyst purple. They stood together in front of Vivian's full-length mirror, 4 generations of strong women, draped in jewel tones, ready to celebrate survival. At Lakeside Pavilion, the transformation took Vivian's breath away. Where there should have been an aisle lined with white chairs, there was a wide-open hardwood dance floor. Cocktail tables draped in rich navy linens dotted the space. Tall crystal vases overflowed with wild arrangements in sapphire, ruby, emerald, and amethyst. String lights twinkled overhead like captured stars. The jazz band was warming up near the windows. The DJ tested sound equipment in the corner. The cake, when Vivian finally saw it, almost made her cry. It was a tower of geometric shapes in dazzling jewel tones, each tier a different color, each one representing something the baker had explained over the phone: wisdom, joy, peace, growth, and freedom. Guests arrived in waves, filling the room with color and warmth and laughter. Vivian's college friends had coordinated in shades of orange and gold. Her cousins wore electric blues and teals. Her book club showed up in coordinated pinks and corals. Her yoga instructor wore a flowing purple dress that looked like sunset. People danced. They ate. They laughed. They hugged Vivian and whispered things like, "Vivian is an inspiration," and "Thank you for showing us another way to handle heartbreak." For the first time since that brutal brunch, Vivian felt something like genuine happiness. At 8:30, the air in the room shifted. Conversations faltered. The jazz quartet's song trailed off mid-phrase. Vivian looked toward the entrance and saw Gregory standing in the doorway. Melissa was beside him, wearing a simple black cocktail dress that clashed completely with everyone else's vibrant colors. For a heartbeat, Vivian's stomach lurched. The room narrowed around him. Claire materialized at her side. Does Vivian want Claire to have them removed? Vivian inhaled slowly. Her feet were planted on the floor. Her hands relaxed at her sides. No, Vivian will handle this. She walked toward the entrance. Every step felt like a deliberate choice. Gregory looked tired, thinner, with shadows under his eyes like he hadn't been sleeping. Melissa's expression was pinched and uneasy. Security hovered subtly in the background, watching. "Vivian," Gregory said, his voice rough. "We need to talk. Please." "You have exactly 1 minute," Vivian said calmly. "Then you're leaving. You're not a guest here." Gregory made a mistake, he said. The worst mistake of his life. He's been trying to reach Vivian. She blocked his number, blocked his emails. Gregory came because he needs Vivian to know how sorry he is. "Vivian heard you," she said. "At the restaurant. At her office when you showed up uninvited. Every time Vivian's phone tried to deliver another message from you before she blocked it. But let's be clear, Vivian didn't call you here. You chose to walk into a celebration that has nothing to do with you. Vivian, Gregory loves you. He wants you back. We can go to counseling. We can postpone everything. We can figure this out." His voice cracked. Melissa was a mistake. Vivian looked at him for a long moment. There had been a time when those words would have broken her open, when she would have grabbed at any chance to fix them. Now, looking at the tired, desperate man in front of her, she felt nothing but a distant, quiet pity. "You don't love Vivian, Gregory," she said. "You love the comfort she gave you. You love the fact that Vivian was stable and reliable. You love having someone to come home to when your excitement wears off. But real love doesn't humiliate someone at brunch. Real love doesn't negotiate their worth based on how adventurous they are." Melissa finally spoke. "Vivian, Melissa is sorry. When she met him, he told her things were complicated with you. When Melissa finally realized the truth, that you were engaged, planning a wedding, she should have walked away. Melissa didn't. She's sorry." Vivian lifted her hand slightly. Vivian doesn't need your apology. What Vivian needs is distance. This party is for people who care about her. You two don't qualify. She turned to security. Please escort them out. Gregory tried one last time. Vivian, please. If you contact Vivian again, she said, her voice clear enough for everyone nearby to hear. In any way, phone, email, social media, showing up where she lives or works, Vivian will file for a restraining order. We are not getting back together. We are not friends. We are nothing. Security led them out. The door closed behind them with a soft but satisfying finality. The room stayed silent for a few beats. Then Eleanor started clapping. Claire joined her. Rachel whistled. Guests applauded, some cheering outright. The band slid into Respect by Aretha Franklin, and someone pressed a glass of champagne into Vivian's hand. She laughed, really laughed. For the rest of the night, Vivian danced until her feet hurt, hugged until her arms ached, and let people celebrate her in a way she'd never allowed before. It wasn't the wedding she'd imagined, but it was something better, a public declaration that she was choosing herself. As the party wound down near midnight, Vivian stood by the windows overlooking the lake. The city lights reflected on the dark water like scattered diamonds. Claire appeared beside her with 2 glasses of sparkling cider. How does Vivian feel? Claire asked. Vivian took the glass and considered the question. Free, she said finally. Vivian feels free. Good, Claire said. Because this is just the beginning. And as Vivian looked out at the water, at the lights, at the future stretching before her like an unwritten page, she believed it. 3 months later, Thornton Interiors had doubled its client base. Vivian had been featured in Chicago Home and Design magazine, not as the woman who was publicly dumped, but as an innovative designer reshaping luxury residential spaces. She'd hired 2 new associates and was considering opening a second location. Life wasn't perfect. There were still hard days when Vivian questioned everything, when she wondered if she'd ever trust someone again, when the betrayal stung fresh and sharp. But there were also mornings when she woke up in her townhouse, surrounded by things she'd chosen for herself, and felt something she hadn't felt in years. And that, Vivian discovered, was worth more than any ring, any wedding, any version of love that required her to be smaller than she was. She was 51 years old, building a life that was entirely her own, and for the first time in a very long time, Vivian Thornton was exactly where she needed to be. If you enjoyed this story of resilience and self-discovery, please like this video and share it with someone who needs to hear it. Drop a comment below and tell us. Have you ever had to choose yourself over someone you loved? What did you learn from that experience? Don't forget to subscribe to Fireside Tales and turn on notifications so you never miss a story about courage, transformation, and the power of choosing yourself. Until next time, remember, you are not defined by who broke your heart. You are defined by how you survived it. And that makes